Mic check, mic check. All right, y'all. First and foremost, give all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his son, the Mashiach, who some call Yahweh Shai, Yeshua, Yehoshua, Yashayah. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. I wanted to talk briefly about church hurt, camp hurt. So, a situation that just happened. And it's just been happening. It ain't just one situation. It's been happening. It's continued. It's been happening since the inception of the church. All right. Since any organization, there's been contention. There's been back and forths, and there's been offenses. And people will get offended, and eventually, um, they will leave. They will leave. They will be hurt. They may get some bitterness. Again, nobody's ever gonna say they bitter. I haven't seen it yet. Haven't seen anyone say, you know what, man, brother, I repent, man. You know what, man, that thing you did, it happened to me, and man, I was bitter. That thing was hurting me. It did something to me. So what I plan to do is, go over a couple incidents of contention within the text. Also, talk about how we can avoid these things and what's causing some of the offense. What's causing the camp hurt? What's causing one to, want to leave and not be like, you know what? I might have been, I might have overreacted. Um, and maybe even open the panel up and let people discuss some issues if they're dealing with camp hurt or if they're dealing with organization hurt. um and I'll start with this one story. All right, I'll start with this one story of a camp hurt that I seen my dad go through. A church hurt, rather, because he's not, he know about Israel. He used to wear the shirts and stuff. He ain't really, he's just doing it because just to show me support. Shalom, Sister Spears, Shalom. Um, and y'all let me know if I got a good mic, that the mic and the got volume and everything's clear. Um, but he got very sick during the COVID. He went to the extreme level, where he went into the coma. He was in a coma for a few months, and then had to go through the rehab and rehabilitate and all of that. But why he went through that, he felt that the church didn't do enough. I had to come down and take care of my sister kids, and he was like, well, the church didn't. Did they give you any money for some groceries, or did they do this? And I'm like, nah, they didn't do that, but they came by and tried to see you and stuff like that. But they gave a card. Um, and two, he didn't want nobody, but he felt a kind of way when he came out of that thing. He felt a way. Um, and even though I felt like, they were checking on you, like they were trying to do, but it wasn't. He felt it was some other people that were like some doctors within the church, he told me. And he said when they got sick, the pastor then was watching the kids and all of that, and he felt like, why they ain't do that to me? And I've been at the church so amount of years, and and that was some hurt. And can the pastor do that for everyone? Shalom, shalom, shalom. Can the pastor do that for everyone? All right, can the pastor be that person for everyone? And so me hadn't been in leadership. Um I understand both sides. I understand my dad's side, but he was bitter about it. And so for a few years he hadn't been back to that church. He just recently started going back. He was looking somewhere else to go. And he recently started going back to that church. All praises. But that was an offense to him. That was an offense enough to make him And if you looking at it from different sides, like, how big, and then do you get bitter back on the other side? Like, where you been? Man, you been gone so and so years. Or do you embrace him like the prodigal son? And I'm sure he got to embrace. I'm sure people, like, um, they embraced him when he went back in there. I don't know, I don't go with him, but I'm sure they embraced him when he went inside. But we just have to, there's certain things that we just have to understand when we're looking at to these communities, or when we're thinking about joining a camp, or joining, especially on this social media. All right, I have looked up. I have a few talking points I have here. Hold on. Limited interactions. All right, we have limited interactions with Shalom Warsheep. We have limited interactions with these people. We think we do because we're watching them every day, and we think we know, and he's shouting us out on the live feed, but we don't really we don't really know. We don't really know. You think but, and it's just like when you're courting somebody, or when my worldly days, I done had a couple live-in girlfriends or whatever the situation. Y'all know, y'all know what's going. So, you don't really know a person till you live in. It's a different knowing of a person. Okay, when you start living with them, the way things were before was, but then when you start living with the person, it's like it's a totally like, hey, wait a minute, man, I ain't even know you. I didn't know you, because we was just we were putting on for each other. When we have that limited interactions, and everything is cool with the limited interactions, because we're both putting on. Everything's cool when we just meeting up on Sunday. We just meeting up on the Sabbath. We together a few hours a week. We cool. We can put on. But when it's a day to day, when we there, especially when you join a camp, or you join a community, you there, y'all around each other every day or every other day, however that go. If you join the camp, y'all around each other, 3-4 times a week. And then we having to do things. You know what I'm saying? People having to carry stuff. Well, who gonna carry this equipment? Who gonna teach? Who gonna do? You gonna read? You gonna do this? Who gonna pass out flyers? All of these jobs have to be designated out, and it's a little status that's on these jobs. And the sisters who, okay, well, this sister preparing the food, or this, don't mess around and have no group chat. But before we even get into that, we just sticking on limited interactions being one of the problems, and we're getting fooled and tricked by these limited interactions, and then we start putting on, because of our limited interactions, we start putting certain attributes and giving certain attributes to these people that they haven't earned. Because this is social media. This is a commercial. When you see a Burger King commercial and you see that Whopper coming off of that little flame broil, and they got the fresh tomatoes on there, and from our experiences and our many interactions with Burger King, we know that Whopper is not going to look like that. But with social media, that's how we expecting these people. And I'm saying, I've seen it. I've experienced, brothers feeling a certain kind of way about certain individuals. We done did unity camps with pretty much every camp, all the major camps, basically. And then at one point we was teaching at 5 Points, IUIC right there on the corner. ISUPK used to be 50 feet on the side of us. And we still trying to pretend like we teaching. We saying the same thing. Oh, then Sons of Thunder right up the corner. But at that point we were with those brothers doing the unity camp. But you have a certain life, but then once you get around the brothers, I know for me it kind of diminished a little bit, and I kind of stopped wanting to do it because I start, wait a minute, you know, I start really seeing brothers. So it's different. It's different. Really, you can't, you haven't really started discerning or really start, proving someone until you start that face-to-face interaction. You can't give them any credit till you start the face-to-face interaction. Now, if you getting knowledge, you getting information, you can get the information, etc. And you can move on for that. Let me go to the text real quick. If anybody have any questions, anything, y'all just hit them in the comments, man. You can definitely interact with this thing. And if you need the link, I'll put the link out there. You can come up, you can share your testimony, so forth. If it's helping to the subject matter. I'm gonna share my screen here. I can't see the comments when I share my screen, so just bear with me. I'll come back. I forget how to do this thing. My screen sharing. Yeah. We good. All right, First Corinthians. We gonna deal with Paul a couple times because it was a couple times there was a little contention. All right, we start at verse. We want to start at verse 1, then we start at verse 10 here. Yeah, start at verse 10 here. It says, "Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and the same judgment. For it have declared unto me of you, my brethren, by them which are of the house of Chloe, that there are contentions among you." All right. There are contentions among you. Paul's dealing with the contentions that has risen at the church of Corinth, in the house of Chloe. Now this I say, that every one of you saith, I am of Paul, I am of Apollos, I am of Cephas, I am of Christ. And basically this is, Bishop Nathaniel is my teacher. Brother I follow Brother Phineas. I listen to Pastor Dow. I'm a follower. I don't listen to none of them. I just follow the Spirit. I'm just a follower of Christ. It's the same contentions, same issues, because it's natural. These are the things we have to fight. These are the things we have to mortify. It's natural to have certain contentions, to have certain divisions, because we're not all the same. We have different mindsets. We have different morals, goals. We different personalities. We like different things. We're from different cultures. We're from different sides of the street. Some of us are a little gutter and ratchet coming into this thing. Then some of us have no idea. You trying to, no idea about no hood stuff and all this. Then you got some people from the West Coast, and then some people from down south, and then there's a trip on that. And then you got some people coming from New York, and y'all jokers down the south, man. Y'all all slow and and they fast talking, and they always complain about New York the greatest. There's always and we have to mortify that. It's natural. It's natural to do that. So it's always gonna be there. So we shouldn't run when we see these small things that are there. We have to navigate through these things, because there ain't too many other places we can run. And a lot of times we done got to a place where ain't nowhere else to run. Some of y'all done been in every camp, every group, that you can get involved in. And he's like, well, ain't no more Israelites. Well, what do I do now? And some of these issues you might have not, it might have not been that bad where you had to leave. Now some are, a lot are. A lot are. You should have got up out of there. A lot of cases are that you should have got up out of. But we just want to bring out that there was contention. There's gonna always be contentions because of so many different factors. Verse 12. Now this I say, that every one of you saith, I am of Paul, I am of Apollos, I am of Cephas, I am of Christ. Is Christ divided? Was Paul crucified for you, or were ye baptized in the name of Paul? I thank God that I baptized none of you but Crispus and Gaius, Least any should say that I have baptized in my own name. I baptize also the household of Stephanas. Besides, I know not whether I baptized any other. All right, and this kind of just making the main thing, dealing with, what I'm saying, the blood of Christ. All right, that's the main glue. That's the main glue. And a lot of times we get tripped up on the details. Well, you ain't wearing your fringes the right way, or that ain't really a head wrap. That's really, or you got your head covered, but you got the little hole in it. We get caught up on the details, but really, before we can even get glued, before we can even really deal with the glue that brought us, like this is the reason. It's because of him, or the identity. We the Israelites. We the, you know. Um, but we gotta let him be the glue. All right. And that's definitely another division. We the Israelites, well, the Gentiles can't get in, the Gentiles can't be, and then we pushing these folks away. And that's very problematic. But we're not here to we just dealing with these contentions. Where was I? Y'all know I be losing my place. For Christ sent me not to baptize, but to preach the gospel. All right. Not with the wisdom of words, lest the cross of Christ should be made of none effect. For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of God. All right. He would say, listen, I ain't come to you with no great wisdom, no great wise words. I showed you the power of God. I preached the cross. We got to let that be the glue. Again, some of the details, find the details we can iron out. We can sit down. We can try to hash them out. And sometimes when we sit down with it, we may not agree. We may leave not agreeing. And we may can come back and sit down with it a few years later, or whatever the case. Or someone may see it the next time. But we just have to be able to have these conversations, be grown enough to be able to agree or disagree, or agree to disagree. All right. Worship say he'd love to come on. Let me put the link out. You got a few more incidents within the text that we want to talk about with Paul. Paul was having some contention. All right, even going into these synagogues, he was, hey, what I'm saying, this is the gospel that I was given. Some of these things we'll have to bring out. Let me go back to some of the lists. We did we said limited interactions, and then recent acquaintance. All right, recent acquaintance. You just met them. You haven't had enough time to get to know them well. All right, you just met them. You just bumped into their channel. You just, you want to, and that could be natural too, man. You want to see the best in people. You want to see, oh man, this brother is righteous. He's doing this. He's doing that. And you want to see the best for your people, man. You want to believe that that we're doing what we supposed to be doing out here. Shalom, brother. Shalom, brother Barack.
Shalom, shalom. Can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear, brother.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
A couple of things. Yeah, it's a good conversation. And we're basically discussing division within the body of Christ. Like in a nutshell.
Right. That's it. Hallelujah. That's it on the head. The divisions of Christ, and some of the things that are coming along with the organization, just trying to adjust people's expectations a little bit. Maybe fine tune the expectations. I feel like the expectations are too high. We're putting them too high on individuals, almost lifting some people up, um, almost making idols out of individuals in some cases, um, and
Right.
then end up getting themselves hurt and getting disappointed that these people aren't the people that you made them out to be.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing about that, right, is that I think people buy into, I guess, the vision that's being sold. You know what I mean? The vision that's being sold. You know, what is this guy selling me? Is it something that I can buy? And a lot of people, especially when it comes to different sectors, right? It's different groups of people that they want to follow. Some people have a hatred towards other, you know, I guess cultures, right? Let's say
Mm,
Caucasian people. Some men who are black have a hatred towards Caucasians, and they find a group of men, a group that believe in similar things that they believe, but they also have that same burning hatred, and so they can resonate with them. You know what I mean? Um, and I believe that's what really caused most of the divide in building up of that leader who may be pushing that sort of agenda, right? Because we know for a fact that that Yahshua, the Messiah, Yahweh, does not see color. He doesn't see color, right? He's allowing homeborn and the stranger to be drafted in and be a part of his chosen people.
right.
You know, so I believe that people have their own belief, right? And then the things that make them feel good, the things that make them feel like, okay, comfortable in something that they may not understand all the way through. They find a group of people they can relate to, and then they drift to those individuals. In which, you know, as long as the person who's leading the charge there is speaking on that on the same level, like you have Pastor Dow, for instance, who spoke about the birth certificates, right? And spoke about the birth certificates and how men shouldn't, how they should, you shouldn't get one. Our marriage licenses, right? Spoke about marriage license. This is what really got a lot of these NFL guys to be gravitating towards them, right? Because he spoke about marriage licenses and how you shouldn't get marriage licenses and things like that. But now he's recanting that. He's reversing those statements. He's trying to pull back from it. And how will the individuals who came to you, right? That was the lure that you used to draw them in. How would they react to you then? Will they now have a difference of opinion about you, right? But making idols of that leader, and because that leader is talking and preaching and teaching the things that you want to hear, the things that you want to resonate with. I think that's mostly the real problem. Honestly, the real problem is we're seeking out individuals who's preaching and teaching the things that we want to resonate with, that we want to hear, and in return it is exalting that individual, right? Because not only is that individual preaching teaching what you want to hear, but they also telling you to obey, they also telling you to submit, they also telling you to give honor where honor is due, credit where credit is due, and let another man lives praise you. And then that praise doesn't go onto Yah, it goes onto that man, and that man receives it, right? And he doesn't, you know, he doesn't do it humbly, he do it boastfully. And so that kind of really just, I guess, balloons. It balloons them. Like it makes him even more of a guy to really have to deal with or contend with. Because now he just like exalted. You know what I mean? And without somebody to be able to be your anchor, right? Or being close enough to the spirit to be your anchor, I think that you could just continue to exalt yourself, lift your own self up, and it'll continue to be that uh, divide there. It's going to continue to be division. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of my take on what you just said there. Like that's literally what I'm seeing is people aren't spending enough time alone. Me personally, spending enough time alone with the word, especially when you're just finding the truth and you're coming into it, the best thing to do is to spend time with Yah, spend time with the word, walk this thing out and get it down packed with yourself, right? So you can be more of a benefit to the body of Christ, of the Messiah. That way you're not led into one of these camps or one of these groups, and then now you're following somebody who may not be on the right track, right? Or maybe a little off course. You know what I mean? Like you'll be more of a benefit to the body if you understand how to connect with Yah first and then bring yourself out with no hatred, with no malice, no ill will, all in love and peace. And really just understanding that we're all seeking this thing out, right? Working out our own salvation with fear and trembling. So, yeah.
Con. And I agree. I agree with pretty much, fully with what you stated. Um, we have we get that itching ear scratched, and uh, and to the point where we ignore certain other things
Yeah.
that we like. Yeah, it's a couple red flags. You're like, ah.
Yeah.
Also,
You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah.
also on the flip too, some of the leaders, they may have been
Hmm.
um people of good character, but once it built up, once money started coming in, once the people lifting them up start coming in,
For
they
sure.
couldn't handle it. A lot of people, and that's in the text that this thing wasn't given. Look, this thing wasn't given to the wise. I think that's in First Corinthians. If we would have kept reading, but a
Hmm.
lot of people coming. They haven't dealt with a lot of. They weren't cool kids. Let me just say it like that.
Right.
Um, they weren't cool kids, and then they came in this thing, and then they became leaders, and people are, people are lifting them up. People are saying how wise and great they are, and they can't handle it, and they end up taking advantage of it and taking advantage of the people. Um, I think a lot of that's going on. I think there's a lot of also mental illness. I think there's a lot of mental illness unchecked also within the community. Um,
Yeah. The funny thing about that is this, right? Um, and I'm coming from, like, I guess based on my perspective and experience. So
mm,
with Straightway and their security team, from what I'm understanding from the guys who are actually on the security team, uh, it was at least over 90% of them failed the psychological evaluation. Most of these
mm,
guys weren't even fit to hold like a firearm or a gun. Like, so the psychological evaluation, over 90% of them actually failed. The majority of them are pretty much just trigger happy, right? And anything can really set them off. So it's
yeah,
like you got a bunch of trigger happy guys around you who's failed the psychological evaluation. Now that's dangerous. You know what I mean? And they all are holding ARs. You know what I mean? So we when you're saying what you're saying, it's like things can get really, really hairy, right? Things can get really, really thick when we're not really paying attention to uh the problems, right? The problems that's within the ministry, the problems within the congregation. Like, what's
right,
the nucleus of the issue? The nucleus of the issue is when the leadership begins to believe themselves to be something and they exalt themselves too high. So now anybody else's opinion doesn't necessarily matter, right? It's only about what they believe, right? What they feel is right. And how do you always know what you are doing is the right thing? How you know you always being led by the Spirit? Because if you can make a decision to allow over 90% of your security who are holding ARs, right, and sidearms and pistols and things like that and knives, failing the psychological evaluation, then that's a extremely poor decision to make. In my opinion, it's a poor decision to make.
absolutely. And the fact that they have a psych evaluation lets you know that there needs to be one in place. you know,
You know.
but we're not putting these things in place. We're not, and that could cause an offense. You
Mm,
know, if those brothers were told, well, listen, you can't, no, you weren't no security, you couldn't police out there. We ain't finna let you police in here.
yeah.
And but that could be something that could be protecting the people, but at the same time brothers will get highly offended. And this joker is the worst joker in the world, man. This is brother Phoenix is
Mm,
doing false prophet. Nobody should listen to him, but these are some decisions that we do have to make to deal with the community. And that's another thing that I have here on this third listing here. Let me pull it
Yeah.
back up. Social barriers.
Hmm.
Um, you know, just because like I've seen with Straightway, like I seen a brother give a testimony on one of your podcasts, um and he was in delving, he wanted some information and so forth, and he was some of it seems like he was offended because the things didn't move, or he felt like they weren't interacting with him the way he wanted to be interacted with. Sometimes I understand in the community setting that, man, you just can't
Yeah.
let everybody just can't pull up, in my opinion. If I and I've never had a community, but you
Hmm.
just can't pull up to my house. I don't want you see me teaching on the streets, and then you follow me home, or you see, oh well, you brother, you stay over there, and then you knocking on my door. It's certain barriers, certain boundaries, certain proving that one has to go through. There has to be certain process, so one shouldn't get offended. I don't want people to get offended because of a proven process. Really, we should really be grateful for that and say, oh well, and really, offense can come in when, oh well, they didn't have to go through that. And if
Right.
there's partiality within the proven process, but if there is a proven process and there is some kind of process of or some kind of test, or um certain boundaries set, certain steps for one to get into this organization, one shouldn't be. I know most camps, they'll have, oh well, you have to take this test, you have to learn this amount of information before you can come in and teach. You could just walk in the door. You could just walk in the door, and man, brothers used to say, hey man, I'm in. We'd be like, man, get on this side. But now looking back, I don't think that wasn't wise. It wasn't wise because you don't know the brother. I want to know the brother because he got on fringes, and he was out here ready to teach the word. He seen us. He heard the word. His sheep heard the word. They came and they part. But you don't know. And it can be one incident, and everybody's armed. Ain't no camp out there that ain't armed.
Right.
There ain't no
That's
camp
right.
out there with there's pistols under those garments. Um, and you're having these interactions with these people, and then you're having the interaction in a hostile environment, condemning, and that's another issue. We're condemning off of the gate, out the gate. We throwing shots out the gate. We're meeting people in the grocery store, and it's the division is already there. Well, what camp you with?
Mm.
Who you fellowship with? And
You
then,
know.
oh, I fellowship with. It's back to I'm with Apollos. I'm with Apollos. Oh, okay. And then we can't fellowship because you with Apollos and you follow Paul, and we in the same community.
Mm.
But we
Right.
we following YouTube, but we in the same community talking about. Oh, well, I can't find no Israelites in my community. I can't find no like minded because the details are causing contention. The details have caused contention um among the people, man. Let me go back here. You
Yeah.
got anything on that?
Yeah. I mean, it is all of that causes the contention. Everything you just stated was absolute facts. I mean, even with being to be vetted before inviting you to the home, things like that. Like those are things that are very important, right? Um, and I think when you're being vetted, the process of it, you know what I mean? The process of that vetting is like it's got to be some sort of like it's got to be extensive because there's times where you will come across some guys and they seem to be perfectly normal, and then you start to check their behavior. Like I heard you were speaking on it earlier. It's one thing to meet with them once or whatever, once a week or whatever it may
Right,
be. It's one thing to meet with them once a week or whatever,
right.
every now and then. But it's a whole different thing, a whole different app when you're actually living with them, and it's a day in and day out thing. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's a day in and day out thing. it's a totally different situation because you actually get to see who they are. You actually get to see what their emotional state is or whatever it may be, and things like that. So when you're doing community, it's a totally different ball game. It's a totally different ball game. So you got to really know the individuals that you're with. You got to really test and try the spirits of those individuals in order to be able to see if they're the ones who are going to be able to weather the storm, so to speak, right?
Let me ask you
Um,
this:
yes, sir.
Can we? Do you think we can learn that person without that day to day?
Honestly, it has to be a constant interaction. Like
Right.
you have to be
I agree.
constantly communicating. Like
Yeah.
it's different to physically be there, but
Right.
if you're over the phone or if you're doing like we got certain apps out here where you can do video calls, it's
Right.
different because you can actually interact with everybody on a daily basis, right? To see what's up. But that's the major barrier is that physical interaction. And
Right.
without that physical interaction, right, it's really difficult to it's really difficult without that. You can only get close and then until
Right.
this time, right? Yeah, so I would say that no, it'll be difficult. It'll be very difficult. Some people they'll know based on those basic interactions of video calls, phone calls, and meeting once a week. But others you won't really be able to gauge long term how this would work, right? So I would say no, right? If I'm going shooting it straight, I would say no, not until you actually get in the mix, until you guys actually are with each other. That's what I say for sure.
I agree. I would say no. I would say you really don't. You really don't know, brother Phineas, unless you with the day to day.
Yeah,
You don't.
right.
And I have bad days, and I'm
Mhm.
all chuckles at it, but I got a other side too.
Yeah,
I got a. It's a fire side too. Um,
yeah,
and when I
yeah.
have to rebuke, I'm gonna rebuke. I'm gonna reprove when it's time to reprove. So and then you may not like, but some people, but that's love though. That's brotherhood. That's friendship, and we gotta be able to heal from those things. I have an interaction with one brother, Shalom, Pastor Rufus, in the building. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom,
Uh,
Pastor.
um, where
Shalom, Elder
we'll go,
Chris.
Elder Chris. Shalom to Elder Chris. We'll go back and forth, doctrine things, other things, what I'm saying, but it's never to the point where we, you know, it's doctrine. It's
Right.
never it's not personal. It's not a personal attack on my brother because he sees something different. And I
Yeah.
can't, only the spirit can help him see. The spirit got me seeing, the spirit got, only, and time will tell. Sometimes it takes time. I didn't just see this. I didn't just, the first time I seen it and then I caught it and I went with it. And I've taught a lot of things wrong. I taught exactly like the camps for several years. 6 7 years I
Mm.
taught exactly the way the camps teach. Now I teach
Right.
opposing to that. And you'll see a lot of my content is refuting that one, was trying to, because I already know, I already been in it, I already delved in the deepest parts of it, trying to help them see certain things, and all you can do is put it out there. You can't
Yeah.
you can't force it on them. And you just, like when you come into this thing, you're trying to give it to your parents, you can't force it on them. You just lay the information out there, and then a lot of times if they see it another time, they may grasp onto it. But it's very, very important, again, even those earlier things we were stating about, um just
Absolutely.
that day to
And
day,
one
not
thing that's for sure, right?
mm,
Oh, go ahead,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Don't mean to cut your wisdom. One thing
um
that's for sure is like when you like are interacting with folks, especially if you like a newcomer, right? My thing is that the level of gossip within a lot of our, I guess, assemblies or wherever you're at, because you're gonna get it at a Christian church.
right.
But I would say it's really bad with the Hebrew community as well. I don't believe that I see a huge difference or a higher level of holiness when it comes to being able to refrain from gossip. You know what I mean? Like men and women. It doesn't really matter who you are. Like, gossip is one of the biggest things, because not only are you hurting the reputation of another man or woman, whoever it is, you're tarnishing their reputation, you're hurting their image. But you got the person who you're gossiping to, who you're spitting in that person's ear, to look at that individual a little differently. And I believe that starts a level of contention, right? A level of strife, a level of discord, because now the individual who you just gossiped about can feel that. They can sense that. They can pick up on all of that. And they will want to make different decisions, different choices, right? They want to start to assert themselves. They want to start to try to be a little bit more assertive, things like that. Gossip, and also just the level of pride, right? And we got Elder Chris in here who said that the security team was being oppressive to the people, right? They were like, of course, and so it's like guarding Caesar. It's like guard for Caesar. And so, like, the pride that comes with that sort of position, when you feel like that you're in a certain position higher than another individual, you walk with your head held higher. I mean, it's okay to be confident, but when you start to reach those levels of pride, it's almost as though you can't be reached, you can't be touched, you're better than the next person. You know what I mean? So gossip and pride has been working hand in hand to really create that wedge in the body. Like, you can feel it, like, just dealing with it, just seeing it. And honestly, it's like, it's difficult. It just seems like it's a really difficult thing to overcome, right? It's really difficult to overcome those two things. You just see it everywhere. you know
Right. Let me it's just some for the camp perspective.
right.
The camps have ranking systems
Hmm.
where they got captains, soldiers of, soldier of 1,000, captain of 10,000,
Oh wow.
sergeants, bishops, etc. Now
Hmm.
we like, nah, we ain't finna do all that. We just gonna be brothers. But I did see, when first when I've mentioned it, I've seen brothers be like, well, what I got to do to be a sergeant? I seen brothers get a
Hmm.
zeal for wanting to do something, for wanting, even though the system's not there, but they want the system. They want to be sergeants. They want to be, security officers. I want to be of some level of importance. I may not be the best reader. I may not be the teacher, but I want to have some kind of title. And I'm saying that to say that it's there before for the community, even, or before they even get into the organization. There's a zeal them going in. And that's the thing we haven't talked about yet. Also, is that expectation. What are you going into this thing for? And a lot of us aren't being honest, because we have certain reasons of why we're going into. A lot of brothers and sisters going into these camps, and they looking for ribs, they looking for a wife, they
Yeah.
looking for, a lot of women looking for men. Well, I need to be around because I need to get remarried, or I need to get married and find me a good, a good righteous man, and
Yeah.
find us a good Israelite man to lead me. And
Right.
what are the intentions? Are you just there to hear the word? Why ain't we just there to worship? It's something else there, and we have to be honest with ourselves. And a lot of times we ain't just gonna come out and say it. But again,
Hmm.
y'all willing. I got another lesson to do probably tomorrow on a situation dealing that done mix between two camps. But and when they don't find it, they're leaving because of that. Oh man, wait, man, y'all ain't got no women in this thing. Let me go find somewhere else. Let
Yeah.
me let me go find another camp to jump in. Y'all done married off all the women. Let me see if I can find somewhere else. And some camps are marketing that, and they'll show the nice wedding and Ooh, look at
Yeah.
the beautiful wedding. Look at the nice, beautiful garments.
Yeah.
And that's part of the control. I had a couple brothers try to marry me off to get control of me. Yeah, brother,
Hmm.
let me, you know, you think about sister so and so,
Oh
you
man.
know, and
Yeah.
they Old Testament only. But brothers
Hmm.
that mess around and fall into that because of the lust of the flesh.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not finna deal with her,
That's
and
right.
you done raised her Old Testament. I ain't finna try to wash that. I'm not finna try to
Mm-hmm.
wash that, brother. I ain't finna do. But you know, and some of these can't do that, and some of these organizations do that to lock you in. Man, that man married me, man. That man gave
Mm-hmm.
me my wife. Um,
Yeah.
and it's it's hard to jump out of that question. Are ranks that were justified for the exodus of the hundreds of thousands of people justified for the camps? Man, I think the ranks are just for the ego, man. The ranks are just like the ranks are a reward system. You can't put no doctrine behind it, man. We ain't going to war. We ain't trying to war.
You're
We
not
ain't
at
trying to do
war.
nothing like
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying?
We're
We
not
warring
at
through the
war right
spirit.
now.
This is not a physical war. It's not a cardinal war, the cardinal weapons, man. This thing is
Yeah.
spiritual. So none of that doctrinally is gonna make any sense. That is just strictly for ego. Oh, you've been here a certain amount of time, and it can kind of keep you locked in. Kind of keep you
Mm.
locked in because, man, I've been here this long to get this rank, and there's certain privileges that
Yeah.
come with the rank within certain camps, within certain systems, and certain privileges that come with it. You have control of men. You have control of their affairs. They have to, come to you and then bring these things upward. You have and like I said, some people haven't been able. They're not able to handle that position, and they overdo it. They overzealous. Like brother was bringing out about the brothers just getting these weapons, and they weren't able to be police officers. They weren't able to pull. They didn't have the mental capacity to deal with the world. But they won't stop because they just need that power. Some people lust after that thing, man. They want to be soldiers, end up getting kicked out the military, try to be a police officer, end up not being able to do that, and then being able to be in the security guard, and had a couple incidents with that, and now they can get inside the camp, and now they security. And just
But
because they done told you, hey, you know what, man, I used to be, I done did security my whole life. Got all kind of outfits
absolutely.
and stuff, and straps and belts and stuff, and we trust them because they got on fringes. Go ahead, Op.
Yeah. What the book says that the meek shall inherit the earth.
Okay.
And I believe, in witnessing a lot of things, right? Like coming into it and seeing some of the motives that drive some of these men. I mean, it gets pathetic, yo. It gets pathetic. It gets outright pathetic when I'm hearing about brothers who living with other brothers and then actually plotting on somebody that they betrothed to, plotting on a way that they can be able to snake in there and take her from them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's been confirmed, right? Got witnesses that said yes, that actually happened, and you have people that are in positions of leadership who orchestrates it, and that's a whole different level of wickedness, right? Who's orchestrating this? A man coming and be a Trey Songs, you know what I'm saying, Mister Steal
Mm,
Your Girl, you know what I mean?
right, right.
Like it gets on a whole another level when you have that sort of wickedness operating. And then you have other men who's put certain men in positions of leadership just to secure the bag. We just want you there so we can secure the bag. Not to say that you're qualified to be there, right? Not to say that you're qualified to be there, but you're qualified because you got the bag. It's because you got them dollar signs. So as long as you got the coin, listen, you can have the women, you can have a position, you can have the prestige, you can have all of those things. But what does the world promote you to do? To chase those things. They want you to chase the prestige. They want you to chase the bag, chase the bag. They want you to chase all these things that are of the world, right? Whereas to where, you got it stated where a lot of these, they didn't want the position of leadership, right? And you hear one man say, hey, I didn't even want to become this. Then you hear all of them start to repeat the same thing. They all sound like a broken record. Hey, I didn't want it. I didn't want it. I wasn't looking for it. You know you were looking for it, and your heart desire was to be that, right? Is whatever you desired, you came into it desiring it, and your heart's desire got what you were looking for. And it's okay to say if you wanted that or not. It's okay to say if you want to be promoted to a next level, or if you wanted to show yourself to be qualified as a leader. You understand what I'm saying? As somebody who
Right.
can be able to help people, just say what you got to say, but don't lie to yourself about it. Be
Right.
honest, because I believe
Absolutely.
that a lot of men have that sort of drive to want to be that, right? And some of them who are meek and don't want that, they usually are pretty chill. But you know, when you hold a certain capability to have leadership qualities, you know, if you do, and it is something that you can't control, right? You know that. So you're going to go in and you're going to continue to be who you are, and you're going to allow your gifts to make room for you. And you know you're going to hold the eyes and the hearts of individuals who can see your potential. But it's all about what you do once you get there, right? What do you do? Like, what do you do when you get there? Are you humbled? Are you humble? Do you come from a position of humility, saying that you're a servant to the people, right? Or do you come and hold a position and say that you're somebody who rules over them? Do you take a position of authority? Like, right? Do you now I get to tell all of y'all what to do? Is that your mindset? Or is it your mindset is whatever I need to do to get in this position to serve you, to do what I can to give all to you guys to make sure things are going smoothly? What's your mindset as that leader? Where are you in a humility type of style, or are you in a assertive, a prideful, I'm gonna tell y'all what to do type of style? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I agree.
Hmm.
I think we have to be honest. On one end of, yeah, being honest about what you want and what position you trying to be in and what you're trying to do. And be transparent. Be transparent with
Yeah.
leadership. Be transparent with the community or the organization when you come in the door. Just be transparent of what you. And sometimes we have to sit down with people and ask them the questions. We have to do the interviews. It's just that some of these things be so small, and we just want a big group of people. We want this
Right.
thing to grow. And that can get you in trouble. And also we have to really understand that these are desired positions, even though some of us
Mhm.
may feel like, man, who would want to be a teacher? Why would you want to get yourself in that position and be laborious and be here and have the responsibility of
Yeah.
teaching and drawing up these lessons for the people and being here every time this door open, even when you don't feel like it? Why are you signing up for? Who wants to sign up? Man, people are dying to sign up for it for other reasons. It is a desired position, and I've tried to push people. Hey, man, why don't you teach a little bit? I've wanted everybody to teach. I want
Right.
everybody to do videos. I want everybody to ultimately, what I'm saying, dive into the work. But that ain't everybody's lot. At the end of the day, it's not everybody's lot. But also, you have to be weary of those that are really just hungry for these positions, what their true intentions are. I want to go back to the text a little bit. You got anything for I do? We got a couple of verses in James 2. Suppose a rich man
Yeah,
wearing a gold
yeah,
ring, five
definitely. What
clothes.
Pastor Roof is saying, that your heart needs to be pure. That things need to, if you nothing wrong with the desire and the gifts of Yah, but your motive better be pure. It's got to be pure. Of course, the Most High is going to judge that, going to judge you, and you're going to reveal yourself at some point. So I agree with that totally. And we got Logic 1611,
Logic six.
who's posting some solid scriptures
Absolutely.
about, of course, how favoritism work, or respective of persons work, over at James 2:2 through 4. And and how you shouldn't respect the rich man, and of course, if he shows up wearing, suppose a rich man wearing a gold ring and fine clothes comes to your meeting, and a poor man in rags clothes also comes, right? If you show more respect to the well-dressed man and say to him, have this best seat here, right? This right here speaks volumes, because this is something that that we can identify that people suffer from often when they see somebody or an individual who looks like they have something, and then they got somebody else who comes along and it don't look like they got nothing, right? And they show that individual more respect, right? And exalt them higher than the individual who doesn't, who looks like they don't got nothing. And and what James is saying, of course, is you should treat everybody equally. There should be no respectable persons. You shouldn't be treating people like just because they're a multimillionaire, ex NFL football player, Hall of Famer, you know what I'm saying, that you gotta fly all the way out to Wisconsin to help them out with their marriage, while you bash and just kind of ridicule every other man and what they're going through in their own personal marriage, right? You shouldn't take those positions. You shouldn't go out and treat other individuals who may be in a camp, who may hold a position higher than you, right, with all this esteem. And then the brother next to you, who's meek, who's humble, who may be defenseless, who look like he can't even defend himself, you treat him like trash because you feel like you can run over him, right? I believe that y'all don't like that, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and roll over there. I
Yeah,
just
I was
noticed
finna
those positions.
I'm gonna go to Acts 15 real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It was a few things too that you was hit on, and Elder Pastor Rufus here was talking about the most people's intents are selfish and desire authority and power, and it's natural. Just again, it's even what
Yeah.
you were saying about the NFL players, or those that have a little something coming in. Look to James too coming in, and they looking like they have a little money or something that they can put inside of that pot, or they gonna
Yeah.
bring you in a heavy tide. And this is
Mhm.
throughout all churches. They want them to sit on the front row. They know they flying in. They may even hold up service. Because
Yeah,
the
waiting
private
for
jet hadn't.
them. Exactly. Waiting on them brothers. How they
Wait, no, we gonna hold up. We
man,
gonna
hey, he
hold
here
up.
yet? Hold that collection plate.
Hold that
Hold that
collection
collection plate.
plate because we ain't,
For
we ain't
real.
sat down yet. Don't sit there. Ushers,
Hey.
ushers, get him out of so sit there. Usher, y'all don't get over there and get them up out of there. It's the flesh, and
Mhm.
we have to be able to identify that within ourselves, especially in leadership. You have to identify that, and it's something you have to mortify. It's an urge you have to fight off because it's
Yeah.
easily to do it, and you mess around, you be doing it, you don't even know you doing it.
Yeah.
It's
That's true.
something that you have to identify and have to fight. Like I said, we just see it across the board in almost every organization, where somebody comes in and they're skipping steps. They're not going through those same systems. They're not
Mm.
going. They're
Crazy.
skipping. They're being elevated because of the money, and that's how it works out in the outside world. You got the bread, you can skip the steps. That's how it works in the world. But inside
Yeah.
the body, we have to check that, and because it can cause harm. You can put people in positions that end up harming the flock. Let me go to Acts
Exactly.
15 real quick.
Yeah.
Again,
Just
another
one more
contention.
thing here.
Go
My
ahead, brother.
thing is this, right? I believe that a lot of division in the body comes from the lack of wanting to understand the other side's position. Like you might have somebody that come in here and you may believe that this person is an Edomite, right? But giving them the opportunity to challenge your position on them being that Edomite, right? Where you just completely shut them down because you don't want to hear what they had to say based on what our ancestors may have went through. I believe that you should open up your heart and your mind to hear what position they're coming from, and you make your rebuttals to their position. It is what it is. Maybe you can gain a brother. Maybe you can understand where they're coming from. They might bring some really solid information. But I think that's another huge issue is that people fail to want to hear the other side out. They're listening to rebut and not listening to receive or try to understand. Like listen to understand more rather. And then what he said, and all you're doing is gain what? An understanding. Listen to understand more and not just to rebut, or to be a judgmental person on their position. And I,
No,
we gotta have a more Christ-like heart. Go ahead.
I've seen that also where And I think
Mm-hmm.
too that may stem from also, um I seen it stem from not wanting criticism from the masses, because the bulk of Israel is like, oh, you better not be around no Edomites and the white man. You better not have no white man around. And
Mm-hmm.
you've probably seen, if you're watching YouTube and watching Israel all the time, then yeah, you probably seen that, and you probably have that in the back of your mind. So you don't want to be seen. We had a brother from Venezuela that and this was when I was teaching Israel only. That looked at kind of, he looked at white. If you didn't know, we didn't have people
Right.
even say that. We didn't have people. Well, I'm talking. Well, brothers talking to a sister, and it was like, well, what you mean when you got them doing little white girls back there in the background, talking about the man's
Mm.
daughters, and she not in the, she's not in the walk, but we just be out there talking to people, um and he had got beat up so much with that because he had been to a few different camps before he got to us, that he just wanted to hold a poster. He's like, man, listen, man, just let me hold a poster, man. I just be
Hold the
the
poster. That's crazy. So
yeah.
he just wanted to hold the poster.
I just want to hold a poster, man. Just let me hold a poster.
Wow. Did they make
Uh,
him lick their boot?
who? No, 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 no. I'm saying he
No.
with
Oh,
us. He's in the body. He's with us.
yeah.
He just wants to hold a poster because he's not been beat up by, well, he's kind of been beat up by hearing certain things and then seeing some
Right.
people say certain things. And say, hey, so man, that look like you might have one in there. That brother look like a might be a eater, But ultimately, the the criticism of the people, and we gonna go through that too with
Oh wow. Yeah.
Peter getting up from the table with eating with those Gentiles. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we gonna glean from that example also. That's what's happening. Also, is that we don't want to be seen with Gentiles. Within this community, a lot of us don't want to be seen. It's almost taboo. To have
Wow.
someone, and now it's beginning to change a little bit within the bodies. Like you're gonna see people that look like Edom, but when I first coming in, it wasn't even. You didn't see that. You wasn't seeing nobody up there teaching that looks like it. They wouldn't even take the chance. But a lot
Wow.
of people now it's kind of
Mm.
loosening up, and it's kind of, that's why I push so much about certain doctrines and refuting one West Israelism and all of this, trying to get us to understand this, and how vital it is to be that light to the Gentiles, etc. Understanding who the Gentiles are, a major stumbling block for us. But yeah, I think a lot of times we don't want to sit down and go through that with people, just having that sometimes in the back of our mind, like, man, what these folks gonna think about us? And they've given, from Pastor Dot, man, we used to get Pastor Dot. We went, from a camp perspective. You know what I'm saying? From a camp,
Right.
we
Give
taught
them that
Pastor
work,
Dot, and
huh?
that's just insane what he doing over there. He done lost his
Right.
mind to the point where we're not even, like, it's not even a focal point until some of the craziness come out. And then
Mhm.
it's like, oh man, we gotta say something because brother is representing Israel. But we did, from when I was just camp Israel only, yeah,
Mhm.
we see Pastor Down and we was like, that's his community, that's his thing. There wasn't, it's something that we kind of just, he don't know what he's talking about. It is, but
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
until it came problematic. But some things he
Mhm.
would, as far as the Gentile situation, I do, I feel he was right. Him, GOCC, a couple other groups, um,
Right.
we're right on that point. So
Oh
um
yeah, definitely, definitely, and it's just too much scripture. Well, it's too so many writings and scripture that backs it up. It's too many that just actually supports that. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's sort of it's really a no brainer. And and I my thing is that I can't really come from a position of wanting to attack a person and I don't even know who they are really. and then to
Right.
make a judgment on Yah's behalf that they're not going to gain salvation or make it into the kingdom. I'm just not bold enough to make that prediction. Like, my thing is that I wanna see them in the kingdom. Like, I don't want them to go to hell. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
no matter what the situation is, I want to see people go to the king. That's the only reason why we go on a crusade that we go on, to get them to repent. No matter how harsh it may come off, no matter how many jokes we may tell, we still want that repentance. We still want the brother or the sister to be made whole. We still open rebuke. Of course, it's better than secret love, but that's what true brothers and friends would do if they needed to. They will rebuke the hell out of you, right? And try to get you on the right track so that way you can continue to earn your salvation, work it out with fear and trembling, all of that good stuff. But it's iron sharpening iron. Like, I can't. My thing is that I never could understand, partially because the mother of my children is white, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's white, and it's like interacting with them, the people. I believe, in my opinion, from based on my interactions with white people, right, or Caucasian people, they definitely need us melanated people, right? For spirituality, for spiritual guidance, right? Because we are a spiritual people. No matter what we do, we are really great at it, right? Music, dance. We just have the soul. You know what I'm saying? We just have that flavor. And that's the reason why they really adapt to it, and they take it for themselves, right? They latch onto our culture for the simple fact that we have that spirit in us, that spirituality in us, right? Being able to be spiritual, being able to tap into the Holy Spirit, being able to really lock in with Yah, lock in with Yahshua, lock in with the Holy Spirit, and which they may lack some of those things. Not all of them, just like a lot of them that I've met were not able to really lock in to the Holy Spirit like that, right? Or to, the spiritual gifts. They really needed more guidance in those areas, in which that's totally fine. But I can tell you what they're good at. They're really good stewards of being punctual, being on time. Those are some of the people that you can trust. There, a lot of them, who are for you or for your mission, right? Because don't forget, during slavery times, we did have them. They were helping us. They were helping us, escape slavery. And those individuals saw that it was wrong that we were being done that way, right? There were some that were doing that. So it's like, once they lock into something, they are focused, right? And they'll get some shit done, okay? But spirituality, they completely lack it, right? Completely, based on the individuals that I've met, you know what I'm saying? So I can't speak for all of them though, but the ones I met, they just not spiritual, yo. It's just not
And
spiritual. But yeah,
from what I heard, they do things a little. They church a little different. I've seen some.
yeah.
I've seen, I've seen some TikTok little gospel clips.
Hmm.
Where they had a little some. They look like they've been, like you said, they've been copying, and they kind of been like, you know what, put a little soul on this thing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, it's we different, man. We are we different, and some of these stereotypes are true, and us working together would be, it's definitely something that's beneficial. You know what I'm saying? Us trying to do this thing on our own, especially with certain attributes that we don't have, like punctuality, like you saying, the punctuality, we aren't punctual. Jokers come and to the point where you want to put in certain systems of discipline. That
Hmm.
if you come into the class late, you gonna have, and you don't want to do that. But then at the same time, with brothers and sisters, um, they'll come in, man. If you don't say something and you just keep allowing people to just come in anytime, coming in the middle of the class, coming in 40 minutes late, 30 minutes late, it can be problematic. And that's one of the issues we've got to deal with too in this Acts 15, 35, 36 here. Second missionary journey. It says some days after Paul said, And some days after, Paul said unto Barnabas, let us go again and visit our brethren in every city where we preach the word of the Lord and see how they do. And Barnabas determined to take with him John, whose surname was Mark. But Paul thought not good to take him with them, who departed from them in Pamphylia, and went not with them to the work. And the contention was so sharp between them that they departed asunder one from another. And so Barnabas took Mark and sailed unto Cyprus, and Paul chose Silas and departed, being recommended by the brethren unto the grace of God. You know, Paul's telling Barnabas, hey man, let's go on another mission. But Barnabas want to take Paul. Barnabas want to take Mark. I think Mark and Paul are cousins. Mark and Barnabas are related. And he's like, man, I want to take my cousin with me, man. Let's take him again. And Paul like, nah, I don't want to take him because he left us last time. He left halfway through the mission last time. I don't want to take him. And it's we can glean from that. Just it's a weariness that grow. Like, bro, he didn't finish the job with us. He ain't carrying his load. Yeah. We're coming into certain situations, and we're coming to like these camps. Man, there's work that needs to be done. All right, it's so much that we need to be doing as a community. We're so far behind. I had a brother that just his mom passed, and I was like, man, well, we don't even have nobody to bury us. We're gonna have to go back to the church. We gotta go back to the church to get buried. I'm like, man, we have so many things, so many systems that we need to be putting in play. That, man, we don't have time. We don't have it's too much work to be done for, brothers not to be carrying, sisters not to be carrying their load, and that can cause a problem. If we're having a feast day, we need everybody to bring a plate. You don't come in there with a plate, somebody gonna say somebody in some contention. One of the sisters is gonna be saying, she ain't gonna say nothing to you direct. And Paul didn't say nothing the first time when Mark left, but he felt some kind of way. Yeah. He felt some kind of way about it. Now you want to bring Mark back? Nah, it's a problem.
Bring him back now. Now you want him back out there.
Now you want him back. The same thing. We told that sister, you in charge of the macaroni, and the sister dropped the ball. We ain't had no sides. We just eating lamb.
Come on now.
And now we got another feast day, new moon. We got another feast day coming up, and now man, I don't want that sister. We can't. I don't want to tell her to cook. No, give her something light. Tell her to bring utensils. And then the sister feel, what do they don't feel like I can cook? They're just telling me to bring utensils. What's the problem? And then you got to have that, and it can cause contention. Coming in these things and not sitting around. Be active. Don't be sitting around. You see something that needs to be done, go ahead. Hey, go ask leadership, ask whoever. Do you need me to do that? If we got a building, the chairs and stuff everybody don't get up and leave. Somebody got to do that. Everybody can't get up and leave. So you're going to leave it to the leader to have to fix the chairs and sweep and clean up all of the mess? You just going to get up and leave? So it's but that can cause contention. When somebody's seeing you leave, everybody, you got 4 people that stayed, then you got this one couple they might have left, and we have to go into these situations and and understand that this is not a situation. This ain't the church where you can just sit back in the back of the pit and put your little money in and then everything's cool. You're needed. You're needed.
You gotta be ready to rock for you. Hang out. You gotta roll with it till the wheels fall off, man. Get it all, see it all the way through. See it all the way through. Get the job done. That's the biggest thing. Is it can start some strife and contention, and that right there can lead people to gossip if they not really trained in the word. It'll make somebody go tell another, hey man, this brother did this, that, and the third.
Yes, sir.
They might be trying to check if they tripping or not. Like, am I tripping? Am I tripping on this, or is this accurate? Should I be trying to come at this brother on this type of time because he decided he wanted to jump ship halfway and not, you know what I mean, and not finish the
Right.
job all the way thoroughly. Like, make sure that you ain't overreacting. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's mostly gossip when you're not intending to do anything about it. So that's not really gossip. That's really just checking behind yourself and safety and multitude of counselors. But it's like that's where it caused that strife and contention because now this brother like, dang, so this brother just jumped ship. Now the other one like, dang, so now it's like they all got
Yeah.
this opinion about this individual. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now he ain't gonna complete the task. He ain't gonna
And
complete the job.
then it builds up. It'll end up
Yeah.
building up. Nobody saying nothing. Nobody really checking it when it first hit. It'll build up and then it explodes and then the brother's offended. Or the other people like, you don't do
Hmm.
something, man, I'm gonna get like you said, it's gonna cause gossip. It ain't,
Oh yeah.
I'm sure every feast day somebody saying something.
Yeah.
Somebody spread something
Oh
about
boy.
somebody. Every feast
Yeah.
day.
Come on now. Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
work. A lot like I say, it look like smiles and giggles, but it's work.
Hmm.
It's work. It's
Absolutely.
responsibility. And when that
Uh,
thing comes, somebody falls short. Somebody gonna say something. It's just like when your family and they cooking for these wicked pagan holidays. You
yep.
know, somebody gonna say something about somebody potato salad or somebody dressing or eventually. A lot of times those gatherings end up with somebody arguing anyway. That's how everybody ends up going home anyway, because somebody done got too intoxicated or somebody bringing up old stories that they ain't really got over, and they
Yeah.
end up bickering and fighting and say, what, it's time to go. Let me get up out of here. Um,
Hmm. Another thing that I really noticed is like when 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 men identify other men who don't respect them, right? Who don't have respect for them, that's when that man usually gets pretty defensive about this particular brother, right? And in that defense, it causes him to go and speak about this brother in certain ways to try to be sure that the rest of everybody else don't adapt that same position. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that's like that really hits the body of Christ hard is like when we start to get people who have a certain opinion about you, right? And then they have a lack of respect. There's a lack of respect there when they should be trying to respect you, right? And then in your defense, you go out and then you try to sway the minds to not take the position of that individual, right? And you sway their mind by telling them certain things about the person to make that individual not like them off rip. When you should give them an opportunity to present themselves rather than trying to uh, massage the minds of them. And then now we got an issue, a rift, a division because you wanted to be sure that that person didn't take the same position of disrespect. So you cause that division just trying to preserve your level of respect, your level of honor and integrity, right? When you should be trying to go and fix that problem with that brother of him not having or lacking respect for you, right? Walking upright, allowing individuals to have the interactions with them so they can form their own opinions, not only of you, but also of the person who lacks the respect for you. Because it could be totally all on him. He could be a narcissist out here, like feeling as though he needs to be exalted with all the respect, and you should have none. Like, right? So we gotta trust in Yah. We gotta trust in the Most High that He's gonna reveal all things, and it's okay for the just for people to form their own opinions on their own time. You know what I mean?
right. I I had an interview one time. I was working in restaurants, waiting tables and stuff, and I went to. I had an interview at Gladys Night Chicken and Waffles, and it was for a management position. And I had told them I had worked at this other restaurant for so amount of years, and I had been training managers there, and they hadn't been promoting me up. I'm trying to get in that other position, trying to get in management, but they haven't promoted me up. So if y'all offering a manager's position, basically I get in there. He told me He said, well, a lot of times, it was a brother too. He's like, a lot of times, you know, they don't like to hire managers within because they're too friendly with the employees. They're not going to be able to, basically, you ain't going to be able to control them like you should. Um, and I'm bringing it out to ask, um, as a shepherd, what level of control should one have? How much control should one have as a shepherd, or as a leader, and it depends on what kind of organization you get involved in. I think it's different levels depending. If you're on a community level, I think that control is different than the control inside of a camp. If it's a major camp, if it's like the size of an IUIC, it could be on that same level where, or if it's a mega church, um, it can be on that. I don't know, because a lot of times you can't even get to those people. Like you can't, like in IUIC, you can't get to Bishop Nathan. You ain't finna just be able to get to him. There's a ladder you gonna have to go up through that you're not gonna have no daily interactions. And the day to day, I'm gonna say this too. The day to day does relieve some reverence. That's why they don't want you having that day to day interaction. They want, he'll be lifted. If you're having a day to day with a brother, the more common it kind of seems to, how common you get common to an individual. It's almost like the celebrities. You seeing celebrities that nobody will have the celebrity status of Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson back in the day, because you never would see a Michael Jackson. There was never a chance you were just gonna mistakenly get to see Michael Jackson. But when you have these daily interactions, if people want to be lifted up like that, they're not going to have that reverence. Also, with even Christ saying, a prophet is not received in his hometown. The people that are coming with you, oh, that's just Joseph, boy. That's just, he just Joseph's son, man. Who he doing miracles? He ain't no Messiah. Because they
Yeah,
had that day to
yeah,
day, but he was going to these other places, man. This Phoenician woman, like, I got
right.
you know what I'm saying? But it's you become common. It's kind of it's a mix of. I know there has to be some level of control, but at the same time, we have to monitor the abuse level. Uh, it can definitely be abused, and we see several examples in the text, and definitely several examples we see within the Israelite community where the control has just been abused. But I do agree that there has to be some level. You have to be able to get people to have some respect in order for them to. There has to be some level of respect there for them to follow you, for them to do certain things. If you need them to do certain things, you're asking them to do certain things. There has to be some level of reverence there also. Shalom, Hebrew Elevation Church. Shalom, brother. Yeah, I just popped on for the dialogue with people. I'll put the link out there for anybody who want to come on and share. Again, any experiences or anything that they can add to the conversation. Um, but it's things we do have to talk about because everybody's trying to start a camp, and it's just easy. I
Yeah,
start
that's
passing
fact.
out flyers. See, and that's another. I've never been in nobody else's camp. I started passing
Right.
flyers out on my own, and then ended up meeting some brothers, and then we started Prince of Power.
So what I'll
Um,
say to that, right? I'll say that in a community setting, as a leader, as somebody who's leading a charge in the community, your authority, your control, all of that, it stops at that brother's door. It stops right there. Now it's a whole different thing if he comes to you and asks you for any sort of marital advice, any sort of advice with family. Now at that point, he's inviting you into his home to help him correct some problems that he may be facing. But your authority should stop right there. Ain't no way that you should have any of these brothers nuts in your back pocket. right? You
Right.
shouldn't be grabbing these brothers nuts and putting them in your back pocket. Like you're
Right.
controlling their life, their personal life, their family life, and then you have a reputation on top of that, right? So you should not be infiltrating their home. You should not be an influence in their family, right? You should only be a spiritual influence. You should only be a spiritual influence, spiritual guidance. But once they step foot outside that door, it's time to get to work. It's time to get the business done. Listen, this is what I got scheduled for today. I need you to fit yourself into this schedule here and help us out wherever you can. Once you step outside of that door, you and your family, now you're contributing to the community. But if you're in within your home, that's where it stops, because you're a priest of your own home. And we should never just rip somebody's priesthood out of their home. We cannot do it. How is your wife going to respect? How's she going to be able to look at you with respect when you got a man who you got to kneel and bow to whenever you
Right.
see him? Like how in the hell your woman should supposed to reverence you or respect you and honor you in any way when you are submitted in its totality, right? To where it's all the way down to the children, to where the children is now listening to that individual more than they listen to their own father. Like that should be that right there is a huge issue. It should stop at the door, whether it be a bedroom door, whether it be a house door, whether I don't care what type of door, a tent door. I don't whatever it
Right.
is, it should be always honor and respect for that man who's the priest in his home. You should always be building them up whenever you see him. I don't care what they're going through. Whenever you see that man, you should always be building them up. Always be complimenting him as a leader, complimenting the man in his stature and the way way he's punctual. Things that you, and if you got some things to rebuke him about, you don't do it in front of his woman. You don't do it in front of his family. You pull that
Mm.
man aside and you rebuke him privately, right? And if you got to bring witnesses, you go through the steps and emotions. And forbid it has to go before the congregation. And at that point, if he's found to be guilty in his sin, rebuke him openly before all, so all may fear, right? But it should always be that step. You don't go run up to a brother and just outwardly just rip into him while his woman is standing there, while his family, his children who see him as being this Superman, this hero. You know what I'm saying? That's their hero. That's their Black Panther. That's their, that's who he is. He holds that position of honor and strength and power in that family. I don't care how little he is. I don't care how weak he may seem or how defenseless he is. That family still sees him as in that position of just strength, of power, of superhero. He can do anything until
Right.
they see you come up and just cut them down right in front of them. Then they start to challenge those thoughts. You should always want them to see him in the light that he's supposed to be seen in, and in return, I believe the man would give that back. If he's an honorable man, he would give that same reverence, that same honor back to you if he's an honorable man. But that's my thought. It stops at the door. It stops at the tent door. It stops at the room door, wherever it is on the community. Wherever his door is, that's where your authority stops. You ain't got no authority when it comes to his household. And I rest my case there.
Yeah. And that's a great point. That is I think that's law. I think that should be lawful. I think that should be community law. That authority
Yep.
stops at the door. Like you need to make a phone call
Facts.
before you knock on that door.
Mhm.
So now I agree. I would definitely agree with that. Like I say, I've never been dealt with the community, but I just know there has to be a level, and that should be drawn out and established. Hey, you know,
Oh yeah.
when it comes to
Oh
these living
yeah.
quarters, these states, it's my family. We ain't doing that in front of them. We ain't finna do that in front of them. We ain't finna belittle them in front of them. A couple precepts brothers was bringing out, a couple verses rather brothers was bringing out. Hebrew
Oh yeah.
Elevation Church, 1 Corinthians 7:23. You are bought with the price. Be not ye the servants of men. Ecclesiastes 33:22. In all thy words to keep thyself the preeminence. Leave not a stain in thine honor. 1 Kings 2:21. I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. Show thyself. Show thyself a man.
Oh,
James
that's
3
man.
2.
Man.
For in many things
I
we
love
offend
hell,
all.
dog.
If any man offend not
Um,
in word, the same is as a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. And that's a fact too.
mhm.
Sometimes, and that's something I should have put in here. I didn't put in there about the bridling the tongue and how dangerous the tongue is within community. That's probably a lesson within itself. Um, about bridling the tongue and in not doing the jesting and the little
Oh yeah.
slick jokes and stuff like that, man. People don't have the same sense of humor. Some things you may find funny, and then they may be slick shots. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just being careful with that, and and if you do feel a certain kind of way, having the confidence to immediately go to that individual and say, you know what, man, that little joke you made, man, that was a little. And I've experienced that within the body. Oh, brothers taking slick shots, and then I'm like, man, he just a little. I don't
Right.
think he mean nothing by it. He just a little weird. He got a different sense of humor. I don't get
Right.
what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
brothers, had be getting offended. I had to, be in counsel with those things. But ultimately, you just got to let them know, hey, man, you can't make those jokes with that brother, man. He don't play like that. Everybody don't play like that. Everybody don't play the same. People come from different environments, different places.
Right.
Things that may be funny to you ain't funny to them. People that have been
That's
through certain
that's true.
experiences, etc. So you can't play with
Yeah.
everybody, and you need to learn individuals. You need to learn about, but you have to have those conversations and not let those things just build. Just and then you go home feeling some kind of, and it hits you a little bit, and like,
Right.
um, and these things continue to happen without you checking. That can be very, very dangerous, and can eventually cause an explosion of contention there. Um,
Yeah. They can misunderstand it. I got this joke that I tell sometimes from time to time, and the joke goes right. Who has the best crack, the east side or the west side? Now, off on his face, right? It doesn't seem like a joke. It's totally a joke because, of course, I don't smoke crack. The individual doesn't smoke crack, so how they supposed to know, right? Some individuals will probably think that's funny, right? They'll probably laugh at it if they know me, right? If they know who I
yeah,
am. But if I go and talk to somebody who may have come from that world, right, and is being reborn, and I ask them the same question, they gonna be looking at me crazy, like, "What you think? I look like a drug dealer or a crackhead? What you trying to say?" You know what I mean?
right,
So what you saying is absolutely facts because if I tell a joke to somebody who don't know me and they come from the streets, right? They're a street dude, they gonna look at me sideways, like, "Hold up, wait a minute." They're gonna take an offense to it. And I just caused my brother to stumble a bit because of a joke that's like more of an insider, right? More of an
right.
inside joke between two people who actually kind of know each other better. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, nah, that's a
Yeah.
that's a good example that like, what are you trying
Mhm.
to say, bro? Like, I look like I've been out there selling drugs, bro. Like,
Right.
yeah,
You
and then
know,
he going and telling this, he telling his rib. He talking with his rib, and then she talking, and she may put it in the little chat, and then it's a little fire going, and then you like, what what
oh,
what what I do?
oh,
It
you
was
don't
just
even
a
know.
it was just
You
a
don't
little
even like
joke.
you now. Now
Then
he don't
they
even
ain't
mess with
now they ain't show up on Shabbat. Like,
right.
what happened?
She
Everything
didn't even
okay? We
show up
just
on
checking to see if you showed up on
Shabbat.
Shabbat. No, man, everything good. Everything cool.
That's the
Then
crazy
the
part.
next Shabbat
Everything
you ain't
cool.
showed up, and now we hear you at a whole nother camp. A whole nother organization.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And these things just have to be hashed out. And like I say, these things happen, man. It's fragile. It's very fragile. Um,
Hmm.
and we make mistakes, man. You know what I'm saying? We make mistakes. We have to learn each other. And it's definitely a process, and it takes time. It's just not something you just finna jump into, and you found the perfect place, the perfect piece, the perfect people to be around. It just don't. We just have to be
That's not how it
realistic.
is.
Yes, have to be realistic, y'all.
Yep.
I'm gonna read this Galatians 2, and then we'll start closing it down. You finna say something?
Oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Galatians chapter 2, verse 11, it says, but when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to his face because he was to be blamed. For before the certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, he withdrew him, separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. Uh, and the other Jews disassembled likewise with him, in so much that Barnabas also was carried away with the dissimulation. Uh,
Mm,
following the crowd,
praise.
getting inside of certain groups. James fearing, James coming in with his partners, coming in with other Jews coming in, probably reverenced. Um, and
Man,
Peter sitting down with these Gentiles and immediately got up when he seen James come in. Cause
listen,
James
they
like, what
must
you
have
you
had
know?
the collard greens. They must have had the cornbread out, the whole spread. They must have had everything. They had no choice. They had to sit down, brother. They had to. They had the whole. They had the everything, all of the foods, all the soul. Listen, they had it together. It wasn't no way that they was not finna sit down and partake in that meal with them heathens. Okay, with them Gentiles. I don't blame them. Sure. I know they was ready to eat, boy. I know.
Right,
You know
right,
our people, man. Come on now.
right,
You can't
right. He
pass up a
seen the
good plate.
spread. Yeah, he
No.
seen the spread. He sat down,
Listen.
but then when he see this brethren come in, he
Hmm.
scooted away from the table. Paul immediately gets offended.
That's
I know
crazy.
darn well, what we just been through, what we just went over. I just told you the mission that I had. I've been teaching these folks, these Gentile 14 years. I done went through this whole spiel with you and told you the vision. And then you done slid over. And then he gave you a vision.
Come on.
He gave you a personal vision. And you
Oh,
done questioned the vision. Like that's an action of questioning what you just seen. What you just
mm,
experienced with dealing with Cornelius now. And then you don't
mm,
slide from the table when these folks come. And that's just showing you too. And we have to be we have to understand the influence, that peer pressure, and how much
mm.
influence that has on the saints. We talk about, oh, I'm just a kid. No, no, no. That peer pressure, that's still here. We was talking about earlier about not wanting, how people didn't want to be seen, how taboo it used to be seen with who we would say were Gentiles, or not wanting to have certain conversations as dialogues to try to see if what these people identifying themselves as, not wanting to have the conversations. And it's kind of
Oh
just
yes.
kind of the same situation where we're trying to appease the mass, we're trying to appease the body because we don't want them leaving, we don't want them, we fear them getting up out of here. He said we don't slip and slide. Okay, I'll make sure. Did we see it? Did we see Galatians too? Yeah, yeah. Okay, we seen it. Yeah, they don't want people. They don't want. They fear the masses. They don't want to lose the masses. They don't want to lose the subscribers. They don't want to,
Mm,
And even me
right.
developing and changing, having to repent for some of the things that I used to teach, and even in that process, I make garments for Israel. So I deal with everybody. Um, And when I run these things by them, they like, hey man, I see what you're saying. You got a point. But Israel gonna hate you, man. Israel.
So you make like the captains and everything, the Hebrew garments and stuff, Hebrew wear.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
man. I'm gonna have
yeah.
to connect with you
I
on
got a
that,
full I
brother.
got an embroidery and print shop, but I do that too for
Okay.
Israel. You know what I'm saying? But
Man, listen.
so
I'll be
I'm
looking for some
connected
stuff.
with all of them. And
Yeah, I'll be looking for some stuff too, man. I'll be looking for some nice stuff, man. We gonna have to link up on that because I have to see what you work with that one right there. See how
oh,
what you
that's a
got.
tenfold. That's a tenfold.
Yes,
That's a
sir. Yes,
tenfold.
sir. Yeah, that would
That's a
be dope. That
tenfold.
would be dope. Definitely. Cause
Um,
yeah, I'm definitely looking for something nice that's gonna be, so
right,
yeah, yeah.
right. Mighty,
We gonna do
mighty. I got you.
it. Mhm.
I definitely got you. Trust me. But yeah, brothers like, man, hey, you know what, man, that thing gonna be, and that's part of the, a lot of people come in about the fear monger. That's another
Right.
part of the fear monger. A lot of us are afraid, to step out, feeling like you won't be accepted by this. And the reality is you're not gonna be. If you're not in their organization, you're just not gonna have that fellowship like that, even though y'all in the same city. And the organization's not in the city. You could be in a city where the organization is in the major city, but y'all are
Hmm.
there together and y'all can't even keep the feast day together. You know. Y'all can, you don't
Right.
have to agree everything doctrinally to at least gather to assemble yourselves together, in fellowship. But
So I heard in these camps that they force brothers to get out there on the corners, man, and put in work or put in hours of I guess I don't know. Do they believe it's evangelism or something like that, or
yeah,
yeah,
it's
they force
almost
them to get out?
like it's something that you most people wanted. That's a reward. You have to build up to get to teach out there. And a lot of people don't, especially in the major camps, it's certain process, at least 6 months before you can get out there and teach. So you earned to get out there. And yeah, we'll be out there 6, 7 hours, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Um
Woo.
and so you may see a 30-minute clip, but see, and the only reason they put the clips up there that's all chaotic is because that's all the people want to hear. Really,
Oh,
at the
it's
same
like
time
drama.
too, they just want the drama, and so that's all they put up there, and so that kind of built a culture that a lot of times that's all we out there to get, and it's not about healing, it's about more so about condemning. So everything we can condemn, brothers would go out there and condemn it, knowing these folks ain't they in the world, so they gonna dress like harlots, they gonna be out there defiling their temple, they gonna
Mm,
be out there, breaking the
crazy.
Sabbath. That's just gonna be, they in the world, But we gonna scream and yell and condemn all that. And that was saying I had to reverse all of that. I had to and reformulate it. That's one of the challenges I have now is just reformulating what camp looks like in 2025. And trying to give a new look on that before I get back out there and teach. I want to just give another vision of that. And y'all willing, that's one of the things that I, one of the revelation, one of the what they call that? What they yeah, they call it revelations and the New Year's resolutions.
Okay, yeah. Brother said three
Even though it's
videos
not
or
our
you
new
getting
year,
kicked
but
out the
huh?
camp. That can't be true. He said 3 videos or you getting kicked out the camp.
3 videos a day or you're not on fire. Yeah, well that's another group because they like a
Right.
GMS. They're not into the interacting, but they'll just go out there because it looks good to say you're out. There was a stint where you couldn't be. You was a keyboard warrior. You had to eventually get out there, or you wasn't
Mhm.
respected in the community. And so
Oh
they will
wow.
make you push. Hey, you need to do 3 videos a day. You need to be loading videos up all the time, and it's just really just to push information out, just to get the algorithm. And this is all you see. It's all you see is this particular group, this particular group. Um,
Mm. Okay, I see. So they can push that brand. They can
yeah,
push
they
it.
could
I see.
push that brand
I
exactly. It's
see.
it's
That's
it's a
that's
race between the camp
hindsight. That's
leaders.
all that matters.
Yeah, yeah, it don't matter what it is, just push it out there. And
That's
then,
crazy.
they gonna tell you because you reverence them, they telling you what kind of fire you got. Well, you ain't got no fire if you ain't putting out 3 videos, or you ain't man, who are you? You just a keyboard warrior. You don't know what are you? You just, um,
Keyboard warrior.
they'll make certain mockery, and people, like I say, people, they get offended by that. They're afraid of, or if you leave here, you're not in the
That's
truth.
manipulation.
You're not in the truth. You're not gonna enter into the kingdom if you're not. We have the
Seriously.
elect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got the
Wow.
elect. All the elect are coming from here, and you leave here, you're not gonna enter into the kingdom. You know, you done fell out of
Wow.
the
That's
truth,
crazy.
And all of that's been passed down. You know, that's what they were taught in the initial One West school.
Mm.
That if you got kicked out of there, you and it was a different. It was almost community because it was a lot of brothers living inside of those schools. A lot of brothers that were getting off of the street that were homeless. They were living out of those schools, and then they give them jobs selling oil. And they had little oil tables, and they go out there sell oil and bring the money back to the school and keep a little something for themselves and pay tithes out of the little something they have, and then it just build up to to
Wow.
to them actually building up and then getting some money, and then problems end up happening, and this stuff has happened since the inception of this movement, and it's happened with other movements. It's just the flesh. The
Yeah.
flesh riles up. It's certain factors that get involved that make the flesh treat people a certain way, take advantage of people. They get cold blooded. You get it's you get overstimulated, and it stuff don't bother you no more. It's just you're able to just do people any kind of way, and you're able to
Right.
watch people suffer.
You get
You
numb
know,
to it, huh?
you get numb to it. Spirit
That's
gone.
yeah.
No more spirit there. The spirit gone. Nothing's there condemning you.
Right,
You
but
get
the
used to
politics
it, and then
take
you think
over.
you
Yeah.
benefiting them. And yeah, man, what bitch? They wasn't doing that. They got them selling oil.
Mm-mm-mm. I'm just
Gave them
selling
a
that oil.
job.
Boy, this is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
Even
don't know. I
uh,
could never resonate with the camps, so to speak, because just the way that they kind of, you know what I mean. Like me personally, I'm assertive. Okay, I can definitely get there, but I'm slow about mine. I like to read the room a bit, right? I like to discern a bit before I even take it somewhere like that. They be out, like you said, they put them clips up that's controversial. That be, they shouting at them, making them look their
right,
boots. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. And I'm just like,
right,
bro,
right,
listen. I'm sorry. I can't force somebody to lick my boots. You feel me? Like,
right,
listen, that's just not the type of guy I am. And me personally, with me being trained, I'm like, listen, I train in hand-to-hand combat. I understand what it means to have to be in a physical altercation, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not what's important to me, right? What's
right.
important to me is that, hey, you respect me, I respect you, we good. So I don't know. I couldn't really, and with all those stipulations, I know that I would have had a hard time. They would have had a hard time with me because I'd have been like, man, what? You want me to do what? Nah. I'm good. I
Yeah.
got shit to do. I got business to run. I got things to do. I ain't got time to be sitting here pandering after you and doing exactly what the hell you tell me to do just because I want to be a part of this camp. Well, I'm good. I'm straight. I'll walk away from that because you ain't gonna force me to get out here and sell your goddamn oil. You ain't finna force me to get out here and and make 3 videos on the street corners. You ain't finna force me to get out here and do shit. If I feel like the spirit is leading me to go do it, I will go be led to go do that. But nah, you ain't finna force me to do nothing.
And
That shit is just ridiculous.
I say this too about like even like a camp like GMS. They don't have assemblies like that. Like they don't have
Right.
schools. It's mostly controlled online. And those in the city, they'll come together on the Shabbat to do the teaching, and then they may go back to somebody's crib and kick the bobo. But so it ain't he telling them to do 3 videos, but he's not there to force him to he's not around them teaching them. None of them are gathering together to go get to those teachers
Right.
in that particular organization. Brother LA, you got anything for us, brother? Shalom.
Shalom.
You may be
You got your
muted.
mute on.
Oh yeah, the mute is on. See, I got the phone. I got it on the computer and the phone. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hey,
I
this
hear you.
brother said, "Force me, you force you to live your life the way they want you to live." Got me. Hell no, I'm good. Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I was I was looking at why are many suffering from camp hurt? Like when I was learning, like I learned about. I did 9 years in prison, and it was like my fourth and fifth year after my level went up. I went to a level 4, level 3, level 4. A brother from Gary, Indiana, he gave me a book about Hebrews. It was talking about, and there it was talking about everywhere in the scripture where it showed that they was black. You know, before then I thought Jesus was white. I thought everybody. I mean, as a youngster too, I thought everybody was smart. Every person that was white was smart. Uh, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen.
So I say it's like about. It's been hard, man. I went from like so I started studying, and they was non-messianic. They didn't believe in the Messiah, so I was calling myself a messianic Hebrew. After I was going on the count letters. I went to the Juma count letters, the Islam. Had read the Quran because I stopped believing. That was like 2007. My little cousin hung himself. He was 12 years old, so
Mm.
I stopped believing in Jesus. My pops, he was a Baptist preacher. He died 4 years ago. He passed about 4 years ago, and but my mother, she was not denominational. They were in the Holy Ghost, speaking in tongues, and it was real charismatic. Uh, so it's I got kind of abandoned right there. Me believing in Yahshua. I was saying Yahshua at the time. And so I was like by myself, abandoned. So, started sticking with just saying Jesus. I was trying to say Yahshua, but when I had got out, I got looking up stuff more, and I was looking up the wrong thing. I was looking at what the white Jews got on Google, like different stuff, and I got into like Kabbalah, basically.
Right.
Kabbalah, like numbers. I'm taking everything they got. They took it from us because that's what I did my 9 years. Like I was a journalist. You know, I read a lot of books. I didn't read no fiction. I love nonfiction. I was studying. I couldn't get into college while I was in there because I had a loan, that I didn't pay, so they wouldn't let me in college during my time. So my whole thing was studying, reading books. But I had a dream, what brought me back to Yahweh Shai.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was like about 2 years ago too, like I don't know. I was saying I didn't know for sure what to say. Yahshua, Yahushua, Yeshaya, Yahweh Shai, you know. And there was one brother, like it was more than one actually, like that. I know I ain't how you say it. And I'm like, it's like they was like push me off, kick me to the side, and they was saying his name is I think Yeshaya. He's Yeshaya. Everything else is devil or whatever,
It's
like something
false,
like
right?
that. Like I say Yahweh, like that. So I kind of went renegade. I started praying. I'd be like in the name of Yeshua, Yahshua, Yahushua, Yahweh Shai, the Prince of Peace, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. But and then I just see like they got a lot of hate, and I was just looking at the scriptures like it tells us the like I can't quote it verbatim, like don't hate don't hate Esau and
Don't abhor the Edomite.
yeah, and something about Egypt too,
Right, the Egyptians, your
It's-
brother. I mean, in I think was it Deuteronomy 23:7.
yeah, something like yeah, yes, brother, yeah. Uh, so it's been it'd be a lot of debate like over the name. Like I've been saying Yahweh Shai, I've been stuck on Yahweh Shai, and like I believe it with my heart, but I don't get mad. I don't feel like no type of way for another brother say Yeshaya or Yahusha or Yahushua or you know what I'm saying, like.
Right.
Israel, Yisrael, or Yasharallah, Yahuda, Yahawada, you know, like, but there's been a lot of it just made me feel some type of way different, like watching different things than what I experienced by trying to link up with people. Then everybody in my city, I know they claim they Hebrew, they hate the white man, have a deep hatred, you know, believe in more than white. We have more than one white, you know. I'm like, why would you want to, man? Especially, you know, like, but
Eh,
yeah,
Go ahead, Shalaki.
yeah, yeah. That's about it. I don't want to hold out too long.
I appreciate you your testimony, and it seems you got might have the contention kind of with some doctrinal issues, the multiple wives, and like I said, that could be definitely an issue for someone if you don't want to if you someone who don't believe in multiple wives, you definitely can't go into a multiple wife situation and or organization that's teaching that, and your rib is feeling some kind of way, watching certain things and say, and that's why I was talking about like some of the details. Some of the details, man, we choke on. We we're not making it. We're trying to glue ourselves on so many details. It's so many things we're trying to get everybody to. Well, you got to have the name right. You got to have the you have to believe A B C D E F G right, and
Oh
then
yeah.
we can come together. And it's just so much that we can have different views on. At what point do we say, okay, well, okay, well, multiple wives may be a deal breaker for me, but I ain't gonna trip on the name. Or I may trip on the name. Multiple wives may not be a deal breaker, but I ain't gonna trip on. The name is a deal breaker. Or when they keep the Sabbath is a deal breaker. I don't agree they keep the Sabbath on that day. I agree. I think it's on this day. That's a deal breaker for me. One has to decide that. I think, in my opinion, some of the things can, like for me, in unity's sake, I'm not gonna trip on like a calendar. If I have a group of brothers say, hey man, you know what, we want to do tabernacles together, and it doesn't align with my calendar, I'll do the tabernacles with them for unity's sake. I ain't gonna trip on that. Because at the end of the day, we have to understand that the Most High knows our heart. We ain't doing none of this stuff is right. You ain't
Yeah.
keeping no tabernacles. You think you keeping tabernacles. You ain't keeping no tabernacles. You ain't keeping Passover. You're not. We just we rehearsing, going over things to remember, to rehearse the things that the Most High's done for us and delivered us from, and be grateful for those things. But you ain't, that lamb means nothing. We know who the real lamb is, But I used to be like that. Oh, I gotta get the lamb can't have no bones broken, and I used to trip on that. Oh man,
Oh yeah.
them brothers up there serving lamb chops for darn Passover, man. Lamb all cut up. I'm in there trying to got the lamb rotisserie. I'm trying to cut off the lamb and not break a bone. Thinking you being righteous, man. It's all filthy to the Most High, man.
Yeah.
And I have to come to that understanding first before I not trip. But before that, I was righteous tripping on that. I'm not coming to no Passover. Y'all brothers eating lamb shoulders. No, y'all done bought from Publix. I ain't finna do that. No. You gotta have that. You gotta have that lamb set apart. You ain't let that lamb set apart 13, 14 days. Man. It to be, and so, no, man, jokers, brothers is like that. Brothers is like, and I'm telling you, I was like that. And it felt good to like, oh man, yeah. I got the whole I done bought the whole rotisserie unit.
This it right here. Yeah, this it right here.
That's it. This how we supposed to be doing it. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Man, yo.
Man,
you get that religious spirit on you, man.
Yeah, this is it. This is how it's supposed to be done. Now keep the head on. What you doing? Don't cut the head off. No, keep the head on. I'm walking out the darn. Then I'm walking out of halal shop. That's how you walking out of the darn Muslim shop with the lamb.
Oh man.
But we can and then every one of my videos, I'll be going through that whole name thing of Yahweh, Yeshua, Yehoshua, Yasha Yah. I go through there in respect, to that, because I don't want that to be a stumbling block. I don't want you to, oh, he's saying the different. He don't say the name right, you know. And the reality of it, I've done the thing about this Lashawan Kodash and all of this, where this information came from, and why some of the little hats, they'll just say Hashem,
Mhm.
because we there's a the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. All right, and people don't know. And that just comes with you growing in this thing. The more you grow, the more you get humbled. Initially you're gonna be on a certain fire because you think you know everything, and you're gonna be trying to
True.
cut and slaughter everybody in your presence.
That's
Every
true.
preacher that come out, man, we been outside Creflo Church. They ain't got kicked. They sitting outside of darn people church while they having it, they trying to have the bit and rebuking and cutting it. You want to just cut and slaughter your family members, everybody around you, anybody that think they know something about the Bible. I'm finna slaughter these jokers because I done watched 5 videos and found out I'm an Israelite. I'm finna slaughter John 3:16. You better not say it.
But is it
So
gaining them the kingdom? What is it
no, you
gaining
ain't.
them?
No, man. It ain't.
What do you
It
learn
just
by
it
doing
just
all this?
puffs up. All right, it's the leaven of the Pharisee. It just puffs up.
Oh boy.
That's what we was talking about, teaching the identity last. That should be the last thing you learn.
Hmm.
But that becomes the first thing, and we get proud and we want to, man, these people don't know this, these people don't know that. But again, if the more you learn, the more you realize, oh man, this shit, yeah, we gonna have to humble down. We gonna have to humble down, and that's pretty much what I had to do. In fact, I found I had so much wrong because I was just listening and writing stuff down what people are telling me that sounded good, instead of actually sitting down and supping with the text. And it humbled me. It brought humility, where I'm like, oh, you know what? And it ain't just I don't know it. Even the experts have problems with certain issues and certain things that are translated. And like I said, even the name issue, um there ain't nobody that's saying that they have an absolute on the name, you know but at the end of the day, man, we like, are we limiting the God we serve to, like, oh, he has to hear a certain name, or he doesn't know that we're speaking to him if we not saying it this way or pronouncing it this way? People that's been removed from this thing over 2,000 years, close to 2,000 years, that's kind of, that's, I say it's choking at the small things, instead of us just dealing with, preaching Christ in that in the gospel of Christ and the apostles' doctrine. um Brother Barack, you had anything on that?
Yeah, I mean that all on its own is like the zeal that you have when you find out that oh man, I'm the people, my people are the people.
Right.
And then you come out here, you learn what you learn, you study what you study, and you start ripping ass immediately,
Yeah.
right? Off bat, it's like, listen, I've done those things and I've learned so much about how to really operate within that patience, right? Within that patience of understanding. It's like you waste a lot of your time, breath, and burn bridges. You know what I mean? And you'll offend people all based on something that you think you know, and really you don't really know that enough to
Right.
be coming at them like that. You still got more learning to do. It's a humbling experience when you figure it out, and then that pride kind of sets in. You walking in that pride, you walking in that arrogance. You know what I'm saying? And a bit of confidence. But somebody said earlier, they said that a lot of people lack confidence in these positions, in these situations, when they got somebody over them and telling them to go out here and actually do a lot of this and rebuke people and vex the heathens, you know what I'm saying, and all this other stuff. And that's absolutely true. A lot of people do. A lot of men lack that self-confidence to be able to say, you know what, I ain't feeling this. And the ones who do come into that is like, you know what, this ain't right. Those are the ones who actually leave because they can't have you around. You're gonna spoil the batch. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta go. But it's crazy. I haven't had any camp experiences, but from what I hear, it's definitely something that the Most High kind of he didn't line that with my path, you know. But one thing for sure, right, is I think that they really do harp on learning the word. So whatever form of learning that they do, they're in that book, right? I believe that they're missing the spirituality side of things, you know, or teaching that or pressing home on what Yahshua or Jesus has told us to do, you know, for our brothers and sisters. But I can definitely say like you'll learn some book. You'll learn some book for sure. You'll get reading.
Yeah, it's a packet. They give out a packet for you to memorize.
Oh, so it's their own teachings and what they want you to
It's
know.
yeah. It's yeah. You're not teaching nothing you're not teaching nothing that leader hadn't told you to teach.
Okay.
Nobody's bucking
That's how
on the leadership to the leadership, the precepts, the leadership done brought. Ain't nobody bucking on that. All right, you're not finna tell them that these things are, that these things are wrong. You're gonna teach. If you're gonna be out there teaching, and it's gonna be filmed and go up online. It's gonna be what you're gonna try to join these ranks. You're gonna teach what's in the precept packet. No matter how many times you tell them, wisdom of Solomon. What's that? Wisdom of Solomon. I am black but beautiful. That's not
wow.
Solomon talking. That's the woman, the Shulamite woman talking. You can never, until that leader says that, they'll never teach that that's the Shulamite woman and that's not Solomon talking. And that's
Right.
just, that's something that's kind of, to me, to me it's simple. But they can't see
Right.
it. Some people can't see it, no matter how many times and then who are you? Who are you, Brother Phoenix?
Mm.
We have the
Right.
great bishop here, that's leading 5,000 and we doing parades and
They
marches.
lead 5,000 legions.
Who are you to try to tell us anything, man?
Boy. Oh.
I want to hit on one point to maybe the last point, and then we start wrapping up. The frightened to be alone, and I didn't put that here. I didn't have that in the lesson, but it goes back. I think everybody has that, and again, these are just fleshly things. This is just the natural being. A lot of people are afraid to be alone. It ain't just. It's not just some people are like that. Me myself, I'm kind of like an introvert. But then too, when I am social. So when I get around people, I know how to kick the bobo. But I do know how to, be by
Be
myself.
alone.
You know what I'm saying? Be by myself and enjoy myself and enjoy. I value that. Like I put it's valuable to me. That piece to myself.
Absolutely.
But some people aren't like that. Some people do need that. They have to be around some people. They need to, and they're afraid to be alone. And I talk about that experience that comes to me is Elijah after the Jezebel situation. He was like, "Well, listen, Lord, I'm the only one left. Us, they done killed all the prophets. I'm the only one left." And the Lord told him, "Well, I have a few that haven't bowed to Baal. I have a remnant. I always have a remnant." But even Elijah, he felt that man, I'm alone. Take me out. Just go on, I'm by myself. Even he fell victim to that. And
Right.
we have to be understanding and empathetic with our brothers and sisters that deal with it. Even though we may not be that way, even though I'm not that way, I still have to be somewhat empathetic. So even brothers used to want to do the camp. I'd be like, man, I don't want to do no camp. I don't even want to risk seeing brothers a certain kind of way. I'd rather keep them at a certain reverence. I don't want to get around them too much. Brothers like, man, let's go. They want to be there. Man, one time, man, we took a trip. It was like a 4th of July rebuke with this one organization. We went to the White House. I'm in Georgia. And we drove
Okay.
all the way to Washington, D.C.
DC.
We drove all the way to the White House so we can stand in front of there and rebuke America.
Oh no, y'all didn't, dog. Oh,
It might have been about
yo,
might have been about 500-600 Israelites out there
that
from
had to
different
be an
camps and organizations.
experience.
And I didn't want to do that. That wasn't but the body wanted to do it. You know what I'm saying? They just they was just, man, let's do something. They were so enthused about it. I just had to let them experience it. And it was a horrific experience. It was horrific. It was terrible. Us
Yo.
driving up there and then
Mm-hmm.
having to drive back like that. It was brothers never asked again after that.
Right.
Brothers never, they had they feeling after that. And but it did bring us closer though. It did bond us a little bit because of having them kind of road trips and doing certain things like that. But I just as the lead, I seen the flock. I had to appease to the flock a little because they do need that. They want the fellowship. They want to be around numbers sometimes. So every now and then
Like
we do the right.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, that had to have been exhausting.
Oh man, that was horrific. Then nobody wanted to drive. That was an offense in the car coming back. You're like, bro,
But we tried.
who driving? Who finna drive? Wait a minute, you said you was gonna drive. And it's like we in the midst of it. We ain't got time to be, or you know what I'm saying? But it's like, bro, you see jokers, you're like, come on now, man. People tired, man. You need to get up and drive. We had brothers in there, truck drivers. Like, brother, you drive trucks.
Wow,
You're not driving. Yeah,
That's
wild.
But
I was tired, man. I was just tired, man. Then no brother didn't drive at all. Like, bro.
Right.
Man, I was just tired, man. I'm sorry, man. I was tired.
I'm just tired, man. Hey, that's wild. That's some ambition. That's some ambition right there.
Yeah, we, all praise we got there and made it back. And that was a miracle in itself. We had to give praises for that to make it back and to make a trip like that. Yeah, that was pretty ambitious, man. But with that, I'm gonna lock and load. And anybody else that have anything they want to add on that? And with that, we'll close out. We'll see y'all on the next one. Now, everybody good?
Good.
All right, y'all. We pray this. Go ahead, Doc.
Go ahead.
Now I'm gonna close it up. So if you got something, go ahead.
My brothers, thank y'all for having me on here. Thank you, my brother Prince.
Brother, appreciate you sharing, Doc.
Bro, how you pronounce your name, brother?
Phineas.
Barak.
Oh, brother Barak.
Oh, Phineas. Okay, yeah. Absolutely, man. Listen, I appreciate you joining us, brother, for real, and I appreciate your testimony. I'm sorry to hear about your family member too. You know what I mean? But I'm glad you was able to see what was up and just stay close to y'all, brother. Hallelujah.
Absolutely.
Stay close to y'all.
Make sure you like, sub, and subscribe. Also, I got a lesson on that, man. Like, what do we do? How do we make peace with y'all's judgment? You know what I'm saying? Because that does happen to a lot of us. There's a lot of things that do happen with us that are, we take some losses that we just like, how in the world did he allow that to happen to me or allow that to happen, etc. And we question, but making peace with y'all's judgment is a lesson that I'm working on. Y'all willing? He'll give me the info in the spirit to bring that out very soon. But again, brother, appreciate you. Brother Rock, you had anything else or you good?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me on. I really enjoyed this conversation tonight, man. I really appreciate the chat. Enjoyed them as well. They had some really good comments about it. This is a different experience for me because coming from a camp side of things, you guys coming from a camp perspective, it's a different insight. So I really like to switch up and connecting with you guys on just on that side and some of the stories you guys have. Man, it's definitely an eye opener. It gives you an opportunity to relate. You know what I'm saying? So I really
Right.
appreciate that. I found that to be a huge blessing, my brother. I appreciate you dropping the link.
Yeah, not a problem, not a problem, brother. And we appreciate you for coming on and sharing the other side. And we not that, it's just we Israel. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, we Israel, and we're
Fact.
gonna have to, let loose some of the differences and understand that, hey man, we can, we can assemble, we can have certain things, but we can't, without having the dialogues, we can't just make the assumptions that we know, hey, what's going on in the community living, or what's going on in these camps, if we're not having the dialogue and seeing the day to day, the day to day. It's not as controlling as one thing. So a lot of times, especially like within us, man, we seeing each other on the Shabbat. Yeah. Outside of that, we calling each other, chopping it up, kicking the bobo. But or when we had the school Wednesday class, you pop in. Shabbat, you pop in. Feast days, you pop in. Outside of that, we really not dialogue. Everything is cool and copacetic that when you have that minimal dialogue. But it's not that controlling in most but the bigger camps, they are. The bigger camps are more controlled, where you have to be there because you have a certain rank. You have to be there. You're responsible for this. You're responsible for that. And if you're not there, and if you drop the ball, it's gonna be, it's gonna be some reproving, and if some people may talk down to you, it's just, the bigger they get, the more controlled that environment maybe. But the smaller camps that you see, bro, see little young brothers just out there, kicking the bobo, man. Them brothers just out there kicking the bobo. It's
Yeah.
and then they,
Right.
they got together that day, but everything else, they handling their own families and their own business. Ain't nobody, and everybody got, if everybody got issues or anything, they can bring that up and, share amongst each other, take care of each other, etc. But everybody kind of doing their own thing until, we meet up on a Shabbat to go out there and destroy America.
Yeah.
Well, again, y'all, man, appreciate y'all in the chat for hanging in there with us. I don't go live too often. I need to do it more. Need to get more consistent with it, but y'all keep me in prayer, man, that he puts it on my spirit, makes me a better vessel, makes me more consistent in this thing. So I can put these lessons up. And keep all leadership, keep all the body and all leadership in prayer. Even when they doing food, man, keep them in prayer. And even some of the leaders that you don't know of, keep them in prayer, because it is a task. It's a toiling task. Um, you know, taking on certain things, hearing everybody's problems. Leadership has to hear everyone's issue. Brother was giving his testimony about losing a loved one. A brother may have a large community where he getting 5 of them a week, and having to do condolences and having to take that on and having to be a vessel for that. So it's not all, sometimes when I say, that's why I'm never covetous or envious or jealous, because I know even someone like some of these mega pastors like that, everybody has an issue. Everybody's trying to get to those individuals, and it can have some stresses to it. But just keep us all in prayer, Israel, man. And again, I pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. We'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom.
Shalom.